Bitcoin is money. And Nostr, it's the same idea. Instead of transferring money, what we transfer is information. Nostr makes us self-sovereign in what we say on the internet. And this is something that no other social media can ever be able to do. You're capable of saying whatever you want, and your audience can verify that that's what you said. Nobody can fake it. You can build your own algorithm. If I don't like cooking recipes, I can say, don't show me this. It's my choice. We're very early. We are just 40 years old. And this is like Bitcoin 10 years ago.
You are focusing on Nostra, as I understood it. Maybe because I know most of the people that listen to this podcast know Bitcoin, at least they heard about it. But I saw when I asked people about Nostra that there are some people that actually have no clue about Nostra, especially on YouTube. It's not that common there. Give us an overview. What is Nostra? What does Nostra? What makes Nostra special? And yeah, what is Nostra in general?
Right. So I think I have the perfect analogy for your audience, for the Bitcoiners. So let's start with first the name, right? Like, what is Nostra? Nostra is an acronym that stands for nodes and other stuff transmitted by relays. Okay, what does it mean? Doesn't matter. That's the name, right? So let's start with this idea that I thought about how to explain Nostr. So imagine Bitcoin. Everybody knows from your audience what is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a protocol, and you can have Bitcoin. I can have Bitcoin, and if I want, I can send you Bitcoin. But it doesn't matter what app, what wallet I am using. It doesn't matter. I can be using wallet of Satoshi. I can be using Blink, or I can be using something different than what you are using. And it doesn't matter because the Bitcoin will arrive to you. So the way I'm explaining Nostr, it's the same. So Nostr is a protocol. It's a base layer. It's a set of algorithms. It's a programming tool that is used to connect one people with another. Bitcoin, what we are connecting, or the tool that is used for, is to transfer money, right? Bitcoin is money. And Nostr, it's like the same idea, but instead of transferring money, what we transfer is information. What kind of information? It can be a video, it can be a text, it can be a long text, it can be a podcast. That's why it's called notes and other stuff. A note could be just two words like "Good morning, Robin." That could be a note. And then the other stuff can be a video, like a part of this recording that we are having at the moment. And it's transmitted by relays. What are the relays? Relay is just, imagine a synonym for a node, a Bitcoin node. What is a Bitcoin node? It's just a computer connected to all the network of computers that are talking the same language. So in Bitcoin, they are called nodes, and in Nostr, they are called relays. What they are, they're just computers that are talking the same protocol, which is the base layer. And why was I using this comparison between Bitcoin and wallets and all this? Because Nostr, it's like a base layer, and we can communicate, we can send all these nodes, all these videos, all these podcasts using different types of apps. They are not called apps. Like in Bitcoin, they are called wallets. In Nostr, they are called clients. It doesn't matter. They are just synonyms to be able to understand that it's just a protocol, and then everybody can build on it.
It's interesting. Would it actually be possible? I never had that thought, but would it actually be possible to build maybe a layer 3 on top of Lightning and build directly on Bitcoin, kind of a social media thing? Because you can also send nodes with Lightning. Probably videos and other stuff will be really hard. I don't know how to do that, but it's probably not possible to build directly natively the things that Nostra has on Bitcoin on a. Obviously, like, it has to be far away from the main chain, otherwise the costs are too high. But that's probably not possible.
Right. So the problem with nodes for this use case is that they are like small machines. The beauty of Bitcoin is that all of us, all plebs, can be part of the network. And it is because Bitcoin is just like a few megabytes, but because it's just text, it's like plain text. That's why you can say, as you were saying on Lightning, no, like, hello, Robin, this is a tip for you. I like what you're doing, something like that. Just a plain string of text. But when you start talking about long strings of text, videos, audio, this uses a lot of space. And the difference between Bitcoin and Nostr, because as I was saying, I was using the example of Bitcoin as a comparison, but Bitcoin has something that Nostr doesn't have, which is the blockchain. The blockchain is copying everything that's going on all these small computers, on all these small nodes. But in Nostr, the computers cannot have a copy of everything, because if you try to copy all the videos, how many megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes, petabytes of data do you need? There is not enough space. So people couldn't be running this decentralized network if they would have to copy everything. So I know some people in Bitcoin is playing and experimenting with sending like all kinds of stuff that are not money, but they are limited. And when there is a lot of demand for that, is as you were saying, the fees ramp up a lot, and then the main purpose of what the chain was built loses its initial purpose. So it could be built, but because of all these technical limitations, that's why I think Nostr is a better tool to decentralize this kind of information. Which, again, Nostr doesn't have any blockchain. It's not copying everything that everybody's saying on on those relays that are the computers that are on the network.
So there are those relays, and on those relays, the data is like the video, the text on those relays, but it is not on every relay the same data. On the different relays, there are different datas, and you can access with the Nostra protocol, with connecting to all those relays, to all the data. Is that is that correctly understood?
That's the way it is. Imagine like Nostr. What is Nostr, right? So Nostr is like this protocol that most of us are using it as a layer to build social networks. So social networks today, or I don't like to call them social networks, all of them maybe more social media, but that's another topic. But the way they work is that they have their set of computers, of servers that they run. It's like these same relays. Maybe they don't have them on house. Maybe they pay Amazon Web Services, or maybe they pay Google Cloud Platform or Microsoft Azure. So what they have is that they have different computers distributed all around the globe for us to access. But if I'm using Instagram, I will only be able to access those servers that are property or that are paid by Instagram, that are uploading the information, let's say the reels, that I would like to see today. So Nostr is the same, but instead of being owned by one Instagram or one single company, it can be run by us. You could run your own relay the same way I could run my own. Maybe I would like to run my relay for my own family or for my own community. And then everything that everybody posts, I will be the guardian of this information. If my computer breaks, if my computer freezes, if I get, I don't know, like a power outage, or that computer gets disconnected, then you will not be able to see what I posted. That's why there are like some professional relay noders that they do copies of it, but they do it because they want, not because the protocol itself is always copying everything.
If I'm now logged in, for example, in Primal, as I use Primal mostly, when I press send, on which relay is it sent? Like, did I first select what relays I want to put my data on? Like, how does that work?
So when you download any client of Nostr, like Primal, it it tries to make it easier for you, not asking you all these type of questions, because most people might get like overwhelmed by all this technical kind of information that nobody ever told them they have to worry about. Like Instagram is doing all this on the backstage. They are selecting when you download the app which server will you connect first because it's closer maybe to your house or to your ISP provider. But Primal, for example, it allows you to change the list of nodes that you want to connect. So when you download it, it automatically chooses the ones that he thinks that are most relevant for you. But then you can go to settings and change it. And if you have your own node, you can say, okay, everything I post will be published here. Why? Because I want. Just because you want. You can do it.
Is there a danger of centralizing relays in the sense of like when we have those, like right now Nostra is still like very small, but like let's imagine there's like 1, 2, maybe 3 clients that get really popular that have like default settings because they make it super easy, and they all kind of like those 3 are the main relays. So is there a danger of long term, if we scale this thing, make it super easy, user friendly, that we kind of end up with the same system that we already have now, where all the data is basically at like 3 different places?
Yeah, amazing topic of discussion. And the first question is like, is this something we have to worry about? Is this something bad? Is centralization bad for uploading this video, for example? Because if it's run by amateurs, then, and you have a big audience, maybe the server doesn't allow all your viewers to be able to enjoy like the same level of quality. So there will always have to be some tiers, some like professional relay runners that they have to offer something that the users want. And I'm asking, like, is this something we have to worry about? Because there is another thing that I think it's more important that we have to worry about, which is not the centralization of the information. Because as I'm saying, when you download one of those apps, the system automatically chooses for you. But the more you learn, then you can change them. So, but there is something that even if you download this app and you have always all the factory settings, you will never be able to change. And this is what people should worry more about, which is the authenticity of what you're saying. So the value, the differentiating point of Nostr compared to other social networks like maybe Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or even Blue Sky that people is talking about, like, no, this is more freedom for freedom seekers and so on. Now, like all these companies that are run by all these social media companies that are run by one company, what they try to do is like to get you there so they can serve you content, and then based on that content they can make some kind of revenue, which is not bad. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that because they are centralized companies, you can never know that what people is saying is that they are saying. So if I follow you on Twitter and I like your content, and every time you post something, I engage with you, but you are not the owner of the content that you post on Twitter. And everything you post there, you expect Twitter to publish it the way you post it. If you set a comma, if you type a comma, you expect Twitter to post a comma there. But anybody in Twitter can enter to your account, any employee, and post anything like, I hate Bitcoin. And then all your reputation is gone. Right? So this is what all these big social media companies have the power of. Which is the speech that they are saying, it's under their control. And the different thing that Nostra has is that everything you say, and I'm going back to the comparison with Bitcoin, everything you say, if you post a comma, if you post a full stop, if you post a I love Bitcoin text, if you post a video, everything you post needs to be signed by you. And when I mean signed, it's like when you send a transaction on Bitcoin, even you don't maybe you don't know, when you click send, at this moment on the back, the system is verifying that when you're sending, you are signing this electronically. So everything we post on Nostr will be always be signed by the owner of that Nostr pair of public and private key. So the main differentiation from these social media companies is that if I'm following you on Nostr using Primal, Amethyst, whichever client, I don't matter which client I'm using, because I have your public key, which is your, we could call it username, and you signed that message that said I love Bitcoin with your private key. I can verify using a simple algorithm that you were the people who signed that. So Nostr makes us like self-sovereign in what we say on the internet. And this is something that no other social media can ever be able to do, because if they do that, they lose the narrative of what they're trying to push. So this is more, to me, this is more important than if the relays are more centralized or not centralized. Because even if a relay is centralized, they cannot fake what you are posting. So it's impossible inside of Nostra.
Can the relays, if for example I just edit, if I only can a relay edit the content once you sign it? Like you post it to a relay, you sign it, and only you can sign it. But once the data is at the relay, can they go ahead and edit that?
Yeah, good question. So everything. So imagine, like, let's make it easier, right? So what is a relay? A relay is a small laptop, a very old laptop, very simple laptop that only has like a hard drive and a connection to the internet. So when you sign something, a picture, you and I take a picture, like, yes, we're having fun here. Boom. You uploaded it, not me. You uploaded it. Because you uploaded it, what are you doing? Before sending it to this laptop hard drive, you have to first attach or sign it with your signature. I'm Robin Seyr. I'm signing this picture with Jordi. Boom. You upload it to the hard drive of this relay. And then the relay owner, if he shuts down his computer, then I won't be able to see this picture, because this picture, it's a URL that goes to HTTPS, blah, 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 going to the server of this computer. Then imagine that, yes, he keeps his computer on, but then he wants to change the picture. And instead of being the whole picture of you and I don't know, he just cuts it on the middle, and now it's just your face. He can do that. And because he's the owner of he's not the owner, he's hosting the picture file on his hard drive. And if he installs Photoshop or whichever other app, he can edit the picture. But when you edit the picture, what is a picture? A picture is a set of ones and zeros organized in a way using an algorithm that then, with another computer app, which is like a picture viewer, it can be like transcoded into pixels and colors, and then you can see a picture. But in the process, when you edit a picture and you create a new one and you save it, the numbers and the ones and zeros of the original picture, they change. And the same happened with the signature. So he can upload a new picture, but then when I see it, I will see that you did not sign it. So there will be, this picture will exist there on his hard drive. He can even delete the original picture that you posted there. But it doesn't matter now, because everybody that is following you could see that this picture was not signed by you. Another example of that is like you and I sign a PDF, a contract. So you send me a PDF, then I sign it digitally. I send it to you. Then you don't like what I signed, then or you add one or two more pages. You can do that. But then when I see the file again, I will see that the file has been edited after I signed it. So then the validity of the signature lost.
That is super interesting. Sorry for all those beginner questions, but I I really have no clue about it, and it's always like an indication. Like if I don't have a clue about it, it might be also a big portion of my audience that also still doesn't know. So I think this is really helpful. So I think I understood the main concept of Nostra now a little bit better. Is there any way to find out how many relays there are, and then like how much data is there on? Like, is there, because I know, for example, if like mining, you can look at like mempool.space, and mining, you see exactly where the mining pools are and what percentage they have and stuff like that. Is something similar there for Nostra?
Yeah, right. It's like this is the same as with nodes, with Bitcoin nodes. There is people that have a node at home, and then they transmit everything on the internet, like on the plain internet. But then there is other people that is running nodes under Tor, which is more hidden under the eyes of the people on the internet. So it's more difficult to know how many nodes. Of course, mining, you need to know where are the mining machines that are like calculating all the hash, or making all the mathematical tools to then be able to tell them, okay, so you successfully achieved or discovered these secret numbers, so then the miner reward goes to you. But the beauty of the relays of Nostr, it's because they are similar to the nodes of Bitcoin. I can tell you, I can broadcast if I have one, but if I don't want to, I don't have to. This is the beauty. It's like we don't know. I mean, I've heard that there is like 100,000 relays out there, but I don't know. I don't know, because those numbers are estimates. It's the same way as like when they say like there are, I don't know, like 4 million Bitcoins lost. How do you say they're lost? No, they're not lost. The numbers are there. Maybe they haven't moved there for a while, and then there is an estimation of if they don't move in whatever number of days, years, decades, they're considered lost. But the numbers are there. And also, as I was saying, this is a very we are in the early days of Nostr. We just celebrated 4 years when, like, a couple of weeks ago, when we met there in El Salvador, and this is like a tool for geeks. So I could run a server for a couple of weeks and then shut it down, and then next week I do another one. I start another one, and so we cannot say. So there are some professional servers that, of course, they are there, like all the people all these companies that are building those clients. You talked about Primal, I talked about Amethyst. There are countless clients. They, of course, want to make sure that they offer a good service to their users, so they are running their own relays. The same thing with those Bitcoin Lightning accounts, as I like to call them, like those Lightning wallets that you are not the owner of your keys, like wallet of Satoshi, for example. He has to make sure that he's running one node with so many channels, because he wants to offer a service to his audience. So the same happens with Nostra clients, and the more clients that will appear that will come, that will exist in the next years, then the more professionalized the infrastructure below those clients will be built. So this is like the early days of, I think, of Amazon Web Services. So Amazon Web Services it's now like, I think it's half. It's an astonishing number. It's half of all these cloud service providers. It was built for Amazon because they just wanted it. They wanted to have an infrastructure to hold their website, and then they realized that they could sell it to third parties. So with the launch of every new technology, there will be professionalization of all the sections of this business. So at the moment, I think we are in the early days where you and I can build a build a relay that people can use. But in 10 years, I don't know. Now this video, how many megabytes per second is this using? Okay, maybe we can run a relay from our home, but maybe in a couple of years when every video is not measured in megabytes per second, but maybe it's measured in terabytes per second, and then you don't have like 10 people watching your video concurrently, but maybe you have 100 or 1,000, then you will need a professional service that is maintaining this peak or this demand of users. And again, and this is nothing to worry about, because this is how all technologies, if they are useful, how all technologies evolve. Again, to me, like, the main topic is that in Nostr, you're capable of saying whatever you want, and your audience can verify that that's what you said. Nobody can fake it. If they fake it, they lose. They break, like we were doing on this example of the picture. They break the linkage of your tool, of your node, with your signature. And this is the word that they use, node. When I say node, it's because Nostra is nodes and other stuff. In Twitter, I think they call posts. In Instagram, like pictures. I don't know how they are called in every social network. But the idea here is it's a node. A node can be a voice node, text, an audio message. That's what I use.
I like the name nodes and other stuff transmitted over relays. Like it's very descriptional, the name of it.
Yeah. Who knows if this could be the name forever for the next years, but this is so simple. It's like we're trying to be so transparent here, and everyone who wants to jump in, this is free open source, so you can build on top. Anything can be built on top of Nostra. It's like all the wallets that can be built on top of Bitcoin. And people have to experiment with that. That's the beauty of open source code.
Super interesting. What is from those relay runners? Because I think a big part of why Bitcoin is so successful, because it aligns incentives and it really gives you the incentive to have a miner running, especially in the early days, to even have a node running. There are big incentives to do that. And now, obviously, you also have a big incentive to hold Bitcoin yourself. The incentives slowly get more to also spend Bitcoin, to transmit in Bitcoin. So like there's always like a huge incentive, and that's why Bitcoin is such a beautiful technology, because as long as humans are greedy, Bitcoin will work. So like it's a really simple thing where you just align the financial incentives of the whole world, and Bitcoin will automatically spread across the globe. Maybe greed is the wrong word for it, but I think you know what I mean. What incentive do users have to obviously if people post on there, they get sats. That's like kind of the incentive to post more on Nostra, especially for the early people, because you probably get sooner some revenue for that. Like that's a big incentive to post there. But what are the incentives for relay owners, for like people that run those relays? They have to buy the hardware, the computer, they have to do that. What is their incentives to do so?
So at the beginning, I thought that those incentives are not for like plebs, right? Like a Bitcoin node might be interesting for a pleb if he is going down this rabbit hole of learning about privacy, because what the main the main benefit a node for Bitcoin gives you is privacy. Everything you broadcast to the Bitcoin network is not seen by anybody. Anybody else can like align your IP address with that transaction and then create a connection like this IP address, which normally is linked to a name, the owner of the network connection is doing that transaction. So for me, the Bitcoin node incentive, it's clear, it's privacy. Once you want to get more privacy inside of Bitcoin. But for Nostr, I don't think there is like such a big incentive, because everything you post in social networks normally is tied to an identity as well. So it's like, if you want to reach more followers, then normally you don't matter about what if you're posting with your picture or not. So to me, I don't think that there is a big incentive now for plebs to run Nostr relays. So it's more like companies that they is what I was saying before. Like these companies that are playing around with the technology to build this infrastructure. So then when the clients, the and let me explain again what the client is. The client is this app that uses Nostr, like the wallets on Bitcoin. It's an app that you have to use, like Primal, to connect to Nostr to see what's going on, what your friends are posting. So to me, what I'm saying is that the incentive is more is more interesting for the computer like technology providers that are helping build the tools. For the average user, the incentive is not run this relay, but rather use the client that will allow him not only, as I was saying before, make sure that everything he reads from anybody can be verified that this person posted, but also for the creator's economy. Like most of these people that is using social networks, they are like building like their personal brands, and maybe they are experts in one topic or on another one, and what they want to get is exposure to get an audience, and then based on that audience maybe they can monetize it. So to me, like the incentive is more to use the tool itself and not bother about how to run the technological part of the business. Because imagine you are a photographer. You're a photographer. Maybe you like to go places, visit amazing landscapes, and take pictures. So this is what you like. But maybe you don't like to have to learn about how to have like a hosting service to upload those pictures, how to then connect it to the internet. So if there is a peak of users going, the server doesn't go down. So I think more interest for the creators, that they can focus on their area of interest. You're a photographer, take pictures. If you're a cook, maybe you want just to record yourself mm, cooking recipes and posting it to your audience, maybe on a with videos. Or maybe you like to write, and you just like to be immersed in the process of writing. So you don't have to know how all these tools, if you need to buy a bigger server for the videos of your cooking recipes, or if you need a bigger connection to the internet so the user. So the incentive is more of using the tool that is sustained by maybe amateurs or professionals. Because one of the things that I didn't mention you yet about Nostr is that for all those creators out there, if you're posting your video on YouTube, probably YouTube is taking a cut, of course, because they're doing a job, right? So they're hosting all this infrastructure, they're posting commercials, and then you have your partnerships, and based on that, a part that goes to you and a part goes to the people who help you build the infrastructure. But on Nostr, if I like, if you post, if you Robin as yourself, Robin Seyr writes like a long post, a long history about Bitcoin, and I like it, I can directly zap you. This is how we call to send value for value. I can zap you a couple of satoshis directly, no intermediary. So this is more, the value is more of using the platform to reach your audience directly, limiting the number of intermediaries. Of course, I'm going back to the incentive of the question that you asked me, the incentive of running a relay, because the infrastructure needs to be sustained by someone. I still don't know how these companies will make money, but I have an assumption, and we'll see maybe in a couple of years if I'm right or if I'm wrong. So my hypothesis is that there are now these companies, the clients, Primal, Amethyst, Damus, whichever, that they are releasing their softwares for free, their clients, but they have to pay for all this infrastructure. And the code itself, the base layer of Nostr, it's an open source protocol that is mainly sustained by volunteers that are like subsidizing the technology. So what I would like to see in the future, or to make this self-sustainable, is that those clients that people are downloading, maybe they need to be they would need to pay to the underlying protocol, to these people that is running all the servers and maintaining the software, for using the software. But because it is something that is so personal between you and I, if I like your article and I zap you, then what we can do is that part of this zap goes to maintaining the client itself and the protocol. And this is something that I'm not sure if somebody's playing around with it. If somebody's doing it, please reach out to me or just comment or whatever. But what I already seen is that if you and I, let's go back to this example that we said about the picture. You and I take a picture of us and you post it. But you not only post it, you mention me. So when you do that, some of the clients allow you to share with the person you post all the zaps that they're sending you. So if you receive 10 satoshis, and you decide that, well, you took the picture, so you want to have the biggest credit. So it's like, out of every 10 satoshis that are sent, 8 go to you and 2 go to me. You can do that right now with all these apps. So my idea is that, or my hypothesis is that in the future, that this is what will happen. Like every zap, but only the zaps that happen. You know, it's like not everybody will have to pay for using the platform. Only the ones that are getting value out of it. So because this is more personal, because in Nostr you have what it's called like the social graph, that Nostr learns about you, and everything you do, it's creating, it can create a recommendation on what you like, what you don't like, who you are connected to, and he can recommend you things that you already like. So the more things you like, the more things that are similar to what you see, you will see, and then the more circular economies will be able to be built directly inside of this Nostra. I know I didn't answer you exactly like what is the incentive for regular people to build relays, but it's because at the moment I think there is not such a big incentive for regular people like us.
I partnered up with Coin Vigilante. This is the most beautiful Bitcoin timepiece that I ever saw created by anyone. Look at that beauty. I love it so much. Coin Vigilante made a perfect Bitcoin watch. That's the perfect, subtle, elegant way to go out there and show that you are a Bitcoiner. And that watch brand is Bitcoin only. And Coin Vigilante just dropped a completely new and amazing Genesis edition of their watch collections. You have the date of the first ever mined Bitcoin block in there, and of course also the block height and which epoch we are currently in. I love the level of detail they put in this masterpiece, and make sure to check out those amazing Coin Vigilante timepieces down in the descriptions. I love those watches so much. If you watch or listen to my podcast on a regular basis, I guess you already bought some Bitcoin. And now the most important step is to keep the Bitcoin. Keep them secure in a hardware wallet. My personal recommendation for hardware wallet is the BitBox. It's super secure. It's simple to set up. It's also a perfect gift for a friend who has still their Bitcoin on an exchange. And you can get a 5% discount with the code Robin at the checkout. Visit bitbox.swiss/Robin to get your BitBox. And the next step is to really level up your sovereignty as an individual. You have to have the most secure self-custody setup. You have to secure your own devices. You have to protect your privacy. You have to set up an inheritance plan. And depending on where you live, you even want to have a plan B, a citizenship where you can move in case something goes really wrong. And through all those steps, the Bitcoin way is guiding you through step by step. And if you visit thebitcoinway.com/partners/Robin, you even get a 30-minute free call to find out how you can level up your sovereignty. But yeah, there could be in the future, as you said, like I think for long-term scaling, there needs to be an incentive for them to run relays that are super efficient, especially when we talk about video content and maybe a lot of video content. Maybe you have like a long form video content platform, or you build like a Netflix on top of Relay, on top of Nostra, where you really have big video files in whatever 4K, and it has to run super smoothly. Because otherwise, people will stay with Netflix and YouTube and with Instagram, TikTok, and so on. If it's not perfect, if the user experience is not absolutely amazing, nobody has an incentives to switch. So like we have to get there where the relays they have to provide a really professional service, and I hope we get there. You also mentioned one really interesting point is, I know there are people that work on ad revenue also on Nostra, like to implement those things also on Nostra. But right now it's basically just value for value. What do you think of value for value versus ad revenue of a business model? Do you see value for value something that has a future with the micropayments, and I can just like send you a fraction of a cent, or maybe in the future I can even send you a fraction of a Satoshi for something? I think right now at least like one Satoshi is the minimum of cent, but we might be there if Bitcoin grows, we might be able to send you fractions of a Satoshi. Is like those value for value model the future, or do you also see ad revenue something that will be dominant moving forward?
Yeah, and you touch on two things here. Like first, like the infrastructure is not capable now of doing like this video streaming service, which maybe Nostr is not the tool for that, which is fine. Maybe I don't want to watch a movie using Nostr, because I'm using Nostr to watch things that I can verify that the owner has said. So if I'm watching a movie on Netflix, I'm happy. I don't need to watch it through these new technology. But if I'm watching a clip of you, now with AI, I can put anything I want in your mouth. So I want to use Nostr to see everything you have to say, because I want to make sure that what you're saying, you said. A movie, nobody's going to fake a whole movie to say something that the movie wasn't intended to. So it is more a tool for freedom of speech. Nostr is built to be able to verify that everything you hear, you read, you see, it's said by the person that is said. And then the other topic that you were asking, like, is value for value, and then of course the fractions of Satoshis. I run a node, a Bitcoin node myself, a Bitcoin Lightning node as well, and I am routing payments from people that are using my node as a channel to get to another place. And because my fees are so low, I sometimes receive what was it, 1,000 milli Satoshis. So I don't know for how small you can cut this, because it's just a matter of adding zeros, right? So it's like changing this. So yeah, value for value. I think that it depends on who your audience is. I've been working in startups for the last 10 years, and part of my role was doing business development and discovering new business models for new products and new technologies that are emerging. And every product and every service needs to have a specific business model for them. We are now in Nostr playing with value for value. And you can talk to many content creators like yourself that have audiences in the other part of the globe that they might not have access to a bank account. And I know this is like typical topic of discussion, like Bitcoin is not for us. Bitcoin is for the people who who doesn't have I think it's 2 billion people in the world that don't have access to bank accounts. So the value for value, I think it's useful for these people that don't have this type of I don't know, buying your product because they are so far away. And then the ad revenue business model, it works, but again, it depends on who your audience is. So you're in Austria, maybe your audience is the English-speaking community of Bitcoiners. So every type of ad that you run on your network needs to be focused on this type of audiences. So if I am a kid in San Salvador, maybe I don't care about the watches, or your sponsors. Maybe I don't care about that. So this ad is useless for you as a content creator. So I think that the value for value, it's a good other way of your audience to let you say, thank you, I like what you're doing, I love your content, especially for, so I'm seeing now this trend of we are stopping becoming employees. We're starting to learn how to become maybe working from home employees, and then remote workers, and then maybe we have some side hustles. Like there is a path, and people, and this was the trend that started 10, 20 years ago with social networks. Not social media, that's what we have today, but with social networks, empowering everyone. What today is called the creators economy, and of course, the names will be changing. So what I'm seeing now is this trend of all my young friends, my my Gen Z friends, they're all always talking about, oh, we can run this side hustle or this other side hustle. People is starting to realize that they can monetize their skills on internet, and we are seeing a less interest of having a 9 to 5 job that you start when you're 18 and you finish when you're 60 whatever or 70 when you retire. And we're seeing more of a trend of even people that likes to discover new communities, new countries, nomads that are willing to move their business with themselves. So for these people, they need a way of making their living. So to me, if all those creators join on Nostr and they can start building their community there, they can make a lot of money from everywhere just with the value for value. And of course, this is not easy, and it took me a while to participate in the value for value market. But everything is a process, and I'm glad that Nostr has this tool, because most artists are the way they have to reach their audience. I'm telling you the example of artists because the typical business model of an artist is that maybe they spend 1 year researching and creating a new piece of art. Then they have to rent a gallery. They have to showcase their piece or their pieces of art, and hope and cross their fingers that the right people go to that gallery at that precise moment and gets their art. So they have to save a lot of money to live 1 year out of nothing to create something that then maybe they can monetize. So Nostr, what they offer is a way of, you create a small piece of art today while you have, maybe you are studying, you already have a job, and maybe you have a couple of hours free today, and you start playing and you start discovering what is the skill set that you want to monetize. And this allows you to verify very easily, very fastly, if this is the next path for you, if this is what you have to pursue. And again, no intermediaries. It's a connection directly from the artist to their audience. It could be the social networks already promoted that, but the difference is that social network, if they don't like what you're posting, if the piece of art that you uploaded goes against the media guidelines of the week, because today we have to talk about whichever war or whichever new president or whatever, then you will not be able to see, if your audience will not be able to see your art. So the difference between social media And I'm telling you now why I differentiate between social network and social media. Social network is a network. You connected to me, I connected to this other person. But social media, it's just a way of hiding inside of a social network what traditional mass media has been doing all the time, which is the rulers post what they want the audience to talk about in that specific time. And that's why even if you have 1 million followers, if you post something on whichever social media platform, all these million followers are not going to see what you posted. It is filtered first by the algorithm, and this happens maybe in a fraction of a second. And then if it aligns to the social media message that they want to convey at that moment, then maybe half, only 500,000, half of your audience will see it. So the difference between social networks and social media is that social networks first was trying to connect people, but now that we almost are all interconnected, social networks don't want us to connect. What they want us is to stay there, hooked in our phones, like this all the time, like hours and hours and hours, so they can streamline direct to our brain all these dopamine hits that we need to stay connected, so then they can sell us the products that they think that we might be interested in buying. Maybe that we don't care about those products, but because they put it at the right moment that we're having like this dopamine rush, maybe we buy it. So the difference between the social network and social media platform is that the social media is just trying to get you hooked, because now companies are competing against each other for attention. They want us to be there because the more we're there, the more they can know about us, the more profiling they can know about each of us. They can cluster us in groups, and then they can make more money. It's not wrong to make money based on ads if this is your business model for your platform. But the problem here is that we users sometimes are not aware of we staying on those platforms, not because we like it, but because we are addicted. So the idea of switching from legacy social media platforms to Nostr is that Nostr doesn't have this type of behavior. What we have in Nostr is the social graph, which is what I said before. It's like a way of knowing about our tastes based on the people we follow. So in Nostr, the important thing is who you follow, who follows you, and everything you say. And in Nostr, you can build your own algorithm. If I don't like cooking recipes, I can say, don't show me this. But it's my choice. It's not that today is not the topic of that we have to talk about, and that's why the tool itself cancels everything that has to be about this topic. So you see, like those are the differentiations I do between social media, social networks. Social networks are gone, at least the way we know it. And I think that Nostra is trying to catch up on that. We're very early. We are just 4 years old, and we don't know. This is like Bitcoin 10 years ago, right? We don't know where this is going to go. The good thing is that this is an open protocol, and we can all build on this. And that's why I'm part of that, and that's why I'm on Nostra, because I believe that we have better ways to connect to each other, better ways to express ourselves, and better ways of monetizing all of our skills that we have that maybe we still don't know. I don't know, maybe you can play the guitar and you don't know that your audience is interested in that. Okay, just play with it. Maybe if I like it, I will send you 10 Satoshis, 20, 1,000 Satoshis. This is the value I see of Nostr.
Very interesting. The more I think about Nostra, the more I'm like, it could be something that we actually use in the future, and that might actually be there. I see some problems with scaling and with like those. Let's see, like the where we go from. We are now like a small community to like we go to like a mass market of like maybe 5 to 10% of the world population is on Nostra, where we slowly get to those ad revenue models are then built in. Then clients get built that are super addictive again, because that's how you get the people. And like all those problems we have now with social media, I think have a good chance also to come to Nostra if it's successful, because it's just human behavior. Like we're getting addicted to those dopamine hits, and from a technology standpoint, we could, like, I'm not saying this is where Nostra, I'm not saying that Nostra will end up at the same place that is social media right now. I'm just saying that's one of my concerns, that we are just building the same thing that we already have, a little bit more decentralized. And that little bit more decentralized might be good enough. Like that might be already the small thing that we need for freedom of speech, because you can sign a transaction, not transaction, you can sign the message that you do. You can then decide for yourself and choose the algorithm. There will be probably a bigger... You can get your account from one client to another client. So, for example, if you now build a huge audience on Twitter, you can not just take that and put it on YouTube, but with Nostra, that's possible. So there are a lot of incentives to have really the free market of clients. But so that's kind of the positive side of things that I see. But I really am impressed with Nostra and development in the last year. I think the last year was extremely positive and extremely good in terms of what has been built. And I'm just fascinated by the topic, because it is the 2011s, 12 of Bitcoin, maybe 13, where we are at such an early point where there's still so many questions open. 2011, 12, like if you went all in Bitcoin in 2011, you were a maniac. There were so many questions open. The same now with Nostra. Obviously, now it's not about financial energy. You don't have to gamble your life savings into Nostra. You can just like play with it and do something with it, like a few minutes every week, and you're kind of in the game. So the barrier to entry is definitely smaller, I would say. But I'm really fascinated by it, and if I think Nostra could be a huge topic moving forward also on this podcast. I think that I have now maybe 3 or 4 or 5 podcast episodes where we talk mainly about Nostra, and maybe 20 or 30 episodes where there are some Nostra talks in there, something like that. And I think it will continue to accelerate. So yeah, really cool. I like it a lot how it develops. One thing that, if we compare it to Bitcoin, we're on a Bitcoin podcast, I have to ask that: is there competition to Nostra that does kind of the same thing? Can there be a second best Nostra?
Well, good question. It's like Bitcoin, right? It's open source, free code. Anyone can build a Nostra too. Anyone. But so far, people is using Nostra because for whichever reason, we believe that the protocol that Nostra set up or gave us is good enough. So this is how you build an open source project. You share your code base, then some developers start contributing to the software. And then if there is some disagreement, then you decide to do a fork, and then you go through another path. At the moment, everybody is building on top of Nostra, but who knows? Time will tell. And because of the free market competition, as you were saying, of the clients, if one client, for whichever reason, switches to another protocol, the others will see what is the best one to adhere to. At the moment, 4 years in the making, it's what people is using.
Interesting. Yeah. I hope we get to the point where we have full freedom of speech. Like I truly don't care how we get there. the same way I don't care about how we get to sound money, how we get to a good financial system. I think Bitcoin is the way. But if all of a sudden tomorrow erupts something better and it takes the whole world over, I put that possibility at like 0.001%, but if that happens, I'm fine. Like I want sound money.
Right,
That-
exactly.
that-
The technology is just a tool to arrive there. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're a fan of blue and I'm fan of red. You know, it doesn't matter. we the, the tool that we're using to reach a goal is the goal is the important thing. And now so far, this is what we have. We have Bitcoin, we have Nostra, and the community is building.
Absolutely, really cool, perfect. Then we have we talked about before what we can talk about, like and we wanted to talk about Satlantis, the things that you're also doing, but it took a long time to get here. But what is Satlantis, and what are you actually doing there?
Right. I mean, I have some ideas, right, of the talk, but I'm so into Nostr that to me, like everything gravitates to Nostr. And this is why I joined Satlantis, because Satlantis is one of these other clients. And as you were saying, if you're a user of Nostr, it doesn't matter which client you're using. There are clients that are more focused on text, long text, Twitter threads, podcast, music, videos. There are many clients. And of course, there are clients that are doing the same thing, like many are doing text or many are doing podcasting. So Atlantis is just another. And again, I don't want to talk much about the tool itself. What I'm trying to say is that everything you do in every of those clients, it's written in a way that if this client dies, if this client disappears tomorrow, it doesn't matter to you because your data is never stored on those clients. Again, I'm repeating the meaning of client. A client, for a regular people to understand, it's an app that you download on your phone. That's a client. Like Twitter, inside of Nostr, that would be like a client. So what I'm saying is that now all the apps that you download on your phone, everything that you do there, it stays there with them because they are normally companies and they are the owners of this data. When you sign like I agree terms of condition and all this, what happens there is that you're selling your soul to the devil, right? It's like you're saying everything I'm doing now, it's yours, and you grant me access to this information until you decide to stop granting me this access. So what I'm saying, what I'm trying to explain here is that all these clients, what they are is just, they're just glasses. They are glasses of seeing the world. And today you can wear the blue glasses, tomorrow the orange glasses, or whichever glasses, and you see the world in different ways. And when I'm saying world, I mean the speech that you're sharing to the world. So if you download, we talked about Primal, right? Before Primal is it's a clone of Twitter. So everything that I post on my Nostra account through Primal, you'll see it with a UI, with a user interface that is similar to Twitter. Satlantis, it's just another tool, another client. We are focused on nomads and Bitcoiners. It's like we are building like this directory, this aggregator of information that is happening on Nostra. Because now the problem with Nostra is that it's so big. Everybody can post. You can post a picture, you can post a note, you can post a long text, you can post a video. And you can post it from Vienna, I can post it from Barcelona. Maybe I don't care, now about what you're posting now. And unless I know you, and unless I know that I like your content. And this is the same with social networks. At the beginning, you don't know anyone. You need to I met you in person, and then through that I said, "Can I have your contact?" And that's how we connected. But there are other ways, especially what I was saying for these people that is changing their path. No, like I'm an employee now. I work from home. Now I start doing some gigs on the side, and then I decide to travel, and then I become my own boss. So for these people that are normally traveling all the world, they would like to know like-minded people or what's going on in the country or in the city they're going. So we build a tool, we build this aggregator of Nostr. Everything that's going on Nostr, we organize it by cities. So when I went to El Salvador and I went to El Zonte, I had no idea. That was my first experience there. So before I went there, I checked the El Zonte page on Satlantis.io, which is our website. And then you can choose there, can I see what's going on Nostr? So everybody that, if you were there posting things like, oh, I just arrived in El Salvador, in El Zonte, then I could see it, and then I could find you. Or then there is another tab that says merchants. There's a map. If I want to go to a place, a restaurant, or a hairdresser, or I want to get a massage. So you can choose from that map, from that specific city, where to go. It's like, imagine a Google Maps, but the problem with Google Maps is that it's all fake, right? Like I can buy 100 positive reviews, and tomorrow I have 100 positive reviews in my account, right? Why? Because I have to trust that Google Maps is telling me that those reviews are right. And what are their incentives to tell me they are right? They make money out of their merchants being there. So they're not gonna be helpful to me, the user. They're gonna be helpful to their pockets because they want to make money. So in our map, every comment, every place that is put there needs to be signed by the real owner. So if I saw you posting like, I'm here in El Zonte, I saw your picture, and then I saw that you have a review on whichever restaurant you went to, then I'm certain for sure that that review is real. Of course, you can fake it, but you have to create a fake profile of you that create a lot of audience and then post it there. So, but the incentive is different. It's like, now I make you work. You have to put the work. Whereas in Google Maps or in TripAdvisor, everything can be bought by one click. There are those bots that you pay, or these farms, and you can buy. So what we're trying to do is like to embrace all these qualities of Nostr to help users or to help travelers that are going around to verify that all the information that they see, whereas if it's information about the city, about the merchants, about the quality of the city, we have a section that is quality of the city. So is it is the air quality good? Are there roads in the street? You don't know when you're going to a new place. Is the ambulance, is the health system good enough? So what we're building is based on this social graph, people that follow you or people that have similar interests to you, that you can really trust what's going on that city. I'm going now to Chiang Mai in a couple of months. I've never been there. So, but luckily, we have a page of Chiang Mai in Satlantis, and I will use it in advance to verify what's important to me. And I know that if you Google Chiang Mai on Google, you'll have tons of blogs, tons of travelers blogs. But again, what gives me the trust that this information is real and it's not paid? Everything you and I can just set up a website now that it's called traveltipsfornomads.com, and we can start posting whichever content our advertisers tell us to post, and then we put a lot of money on ads, and then this is it appears on page number 1 on Google, and that's it. So then we are falsifying, we are telling the audience what we want. So in the end, it's like the person or the organization with more money can control the narrative. This is the legacy social media platforms. So what we're trying to build here is that it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you have $1 or $1 million. I don't care, because what I care is if you post your experience in Chiang Mai because you are there, because you are one of our ambassadors that has been living there, that has been uploading all the information. So a burger costs this, a hotel night in a fancy hotel costs this, a massage costs that. If we have like real people that is verifying what they say online, then other people can have like a source of trusted information that can be not manipulated by the organization that has more money. So that's what we're trying to build in Satlantis, right? So it's like at the moment now it's only a directory with all this information that I'm saying, but we're trying to build then a social networking section as well, so you can interact with the users, and then at the end of the journey, like final stage of the platform, will be a place for creators to find ways of monetizing their content. So if you're a podcaster, I don't want you to care about having to think about the editing and the lighting, and no, I don't care. I just want you to find your best your best speakers, and to be able to write your scripts, and that areas of work that are not adding any value to you needs to be done by anybody else. So that's why we're trying like a tool of creator tools for all creators. If you're an artist, if you're a content creator, if you have some skill set, if you're a writer or whatever, we want users to be able to discover many places and visit any places, so they can focus only on that and not worrying about the tedious parts of the job that, of course, at the beginning someone has to do it, but the more you start discovering what you like in your life, maybe the less interested you are in doing that, because they do not add as value as the skill that you are pursuing. It's a little bit of an overview of what Satlantis is, and I'm very glad that we are building that on top of Nostra, because as I was saying, Robin, if Satlantis dies tomorrow, if we close the website tomorrow, for our users, it doesn't matter, because everything they do, Satlantis is just a tool, and you can call it a technical tool, and maybe people that doesn't even need to know what Nostra is. We are just a tool that uses Nostra to verify that everything that you say, you said it. And if you don't like, if you use it for a couple of weeks because you're traveling like me to Chiang Mai, but then you don't travel anymore, just log out. You don't even have to delete the account, because there are no accounts. I mean, you can create one if you don't have a Nostra, and we can help you to create an account, but you can bring your information from you talked about Primal. If you have a Primal, the Primal client, you can bring your, you can bring your user to Satlantis, and you'll see everything. The same thing, all the information that you had in Primal, now it's on Satlantis. It's just that, as I'm saying, Satlantis it's a glasses, a different type of glasses. You're saying the same thing, but the problem with travelers is that when they go to Nostra, everything is disorganized. And what happens? They don't like to stay there. They say, this is so difficult. We are just organizing information.
It's fascinating. Also, the social graph of things. I really like the social graph right now on Twitter, because it gives me a quick idea. So like if someone writes me on Twitter, hey, can I be on the podcast? The first thing I do is just like look on the profile. And if a bunch of people that I follow him, that in itself is a really big indicator for me that, oh, he might be interesting. Then I should see what he does. He write on his bio? Has he been on other podcasts? What does he write on Twitter? And then like I have really quickly a profile of him. But if he's not on Twitter and maybe he's on LinkedIn, it's harder for me, because on LinkedIn I have a very small substance. I only follow a few people there, and I have way fewer connections there. Then I'm like, I don't know, like I don't get the insight as good. So having that social graph all over them, and connecting it with Google Maps, like seeing on Google Maps, what are my people on that I follow? Like that I follow maybe 500, 600 people. And maybe from those 700 people, 200 has been already to that one hotel in Abu Dhabi, and like maybe 10 of them wrote a review. Those 10 reviews are way more relevant to me than from random strangers. So that's a really interesting use case, and that's a really interesting thing to do for the future of everything, like of the internet, basically, of like Google Maps, of social medias, of everywhere where you maybe need a social graph.
You need to trust people on the internet. So I've been, now I'm in the creators economy, which is how it's called today. And 10 years ago, in 2014, I started a startup in what was called at the time the sharing economy. And I was inspired by the beginners at the time, which were Airbnb in the US, Uber as well in the US, and BlaBlaCar. They are a French company that expanded all over Europe. And for the audience that is not from Europe, BlaBlaCar was a service where you could share a ride So this is not like Uber, that Uber comes to you and he drives you wherever you tell him. No. Sharing a ride. So if you, Robin, are driving from Vienna to Klagenfurt, and I want to do the same route, then I could find you, and then we could share the ride. So I was inspired by those three companies, and I launched my own startup that was trying to do the same with education, which it's not important for the moment. But what's important is that BlaBlaCar, they created a framework for trust for strangers. And this is what we have been trying to crack. Like, I'm talking about 2014, right? It's been 10 years. And the problem with those types of frameworks is that they can all be broken. You're saying if somebody reaches out to you on Twitter and then you check his profile and then you see that he is connected to the same people as you are, that's today. But if tomorrow Twitter, for whichever reason, decides that that account doesn't need to follow these same people that you are following, click. Then this account has 0 followers. All his work that he has put on Twitter, it's gone. Maybe 5 years of work creating an audience, creating their topics, the topics they were talking, gone like that. So Nostr might seem like a tool, a tool in the very early stages, but nobody's gonna think about using it because nobody has, most of the audience today has never suffered of being cancelled on those social networks. But probably somebody of you know that I have a friend that, for example, in my case, I have a friend who had an Instagram about cats, and for whichever reason, from one night to the other, Instagram decided to close that account. It was just cats. There was no political message or what. So for whichever reason, like these big social networks, they are automatically run by algorithms. There is no people behind it. So for whichever reason, the algorithm thought that that account didn't follow the company terms and conditions, and he decided to close that account. Okay, it's just a funny account for cats. But imagine you're putting all your work on social networks, and then you are not on control of your audience, of your content, of your revenue stream. Tomorrow, you lost your job. You wake up one day and, oh fuck, they deleted all my accounts. Go fight Google. Go fight YouTube. You're nobody. I mean, when I'm saying you, I'm referring to the early entrepreneur that's starting a career, because the bigger the content creators become, the more they start thinking about decentralizing and not posting everything on YouTube. You're posting as well on Twitter because you're creating a safety network, but that costs. It costs you time. How much time do you have to replicate everything you're doing to all the networks? And it's not only the content that you have to upload, that of course you can ask someone to do it for you, but you have to create an audience in each one of those networks. So, and I think that Nostr is not yet for everyone because people is not thinking that far away in that situation. This will happen. So now we are building the building blocks for whenever a big outage happens. And then at that time, it's when, and I don't know if this will happen next year or in 10 years, like this is one of those, it's like the lockdowns. This is a surprising thing that you cannot plan in advance. You just get caught there. So what I'm saying now is that to all content creators that are hearing us, so start thinking about ideas and start playing around with that, because maybe one day you get kicked out of YouTube and maybe that's your main source of income, and then what? And then you're in the street. So this is why Nostr was built, and that's why people should think about using it. Not more about incentives and the zaps and validating. It's more about if you are your own boss because you are building your own product, you're selling your own services, you have to think about who you're partnering with. So most of those content creators, they are single entrepreneurs. And I'm trying now to think or to reach out to this audience that has built companies that normally are not single-owned companies, but partnerships with other partners. That's the same. When you're a single owner of your content, you believe you're a single owner, but no, you just partnered with YouTube. So YouTube is your partner. You have to choose very carefully who your partner is and what control he has over you. I'm talking about YouTube as I could be talking about any other social media legacy platform. I don't have anything against YouTube. I enjoy watching your show on YouTube. But we don't know what will happen in the future. So you have to think about who are you partnering with to prepare for your professional career. That's what Nostra is about. And I know you were asking me about Satlantis, but you see, everything goes down to me to the same point.
And I have like a bunch of other questions, but I think
I'll shut up, Robin.
I think like we can put that in a second round, like in half a year or something like that. I think that it would be really interesting. The only thing that I'm also interested in, because you wrote me that you're an airline pilot, or you were an airline pilot. How how does an airline pilot come to work in Nostra and Bitcoin, and is that way? Maybe you can shortly just give us a little bit of your background of like airline pilot and now Bitcoiner, as it's on your shirt even. What is written there? Bitcoiner, especially free.
Financially free?
Financially free, socially awkward. Nice.
Do you agree with the explanation, with the description?
Yeah, I mean, I might not be the. I'm maybe a more outgoing Bitcoiner than the usual Bitcoiner. But I'm definitely not normal. So like I have a lot of socially awkward things, definitely. So I would not say that I'm socially awkward, but maybe other people would describe me like that.
I think we all are in our level. Like this is not 0 and 1, so there is like a spectrum in the middle. And yeah, and funny story. I was a pilot in your country. I was working for Austrian Airlines. So that was my first job, my first real job after I graduated school. And yeah, and at that time I remember I heard about Bitcoin. I was like, yeah, nah, that's okay. It's just funny magic internet money. And I had my fiat job, my fiat career. I worked my ass off, and then I realized like, why I'm still poor. So then I thought about ideas of how to get out of this rat race, and I said, okay, so let's make money. And then I started in the startup world, like these hockey sticks projection things. And then I realized that yeah, I'm no Mark Zuckerberg, right? I'm no Elon Musk. So startups like 99% fail after I think it's after 5 years. 99% of startups fail, something like that. I don't.
Yeah, it's like after 3 years, it's a major point, and after 5 years, there's another major point
Right.
where startups fail. I heard some statistics around that, and yeah, like if you make it past 5 years and you're consistently growing and your profit is growing and you're still alive after 5 years, and you're like doing all those things, I think you are past the startup point. So like for the first like 3-5 years, you're a startup. Yeah, but sorry.
Yeah. So and I successfully failed with my startup in the sharing economy after 5 years. So yeah,
successfully failed. I love that.
it's like it's a path you learn. I learned a lot. Then I started consulting for other startups, and in the meantime, I was looking like, why am I still poor? Why am I working my ass off and putting all these hours? And every year my money is worth less. And this is how I discovered Bitcoin. And now I am a proud member and organizer of the Barcelona Bitcoin only group. So if anybody is listening that is in Barcelona that will come to Barcelona, just ping me, because we are running one meetup every month, many workshops. Meetups are free, and they are normally even in Spanish or in English. And we have like a community, and we tell what is the next meetup gonna be about. So I'm very interconnected with the Barcelona Bitcoin community. So anybody coming to Barcelona, please reach out to me. and I love to see you in person in Barcelona. And of course, because I'm a Bitcoiner, and when you start thinking about how to fix money, how to become self-sovereign, you start talking about other topics, which are like uh, low time preference, like things that will help improve society at the longer term. And this is how I discovered Nostra, and that's why I joined Satlantis to be part of this journey and to help. Of course, used to be a pilot. I traveled a lot. I like traveling, and Satlantis, it's like a mixture of traveling and Nostra. So it's the perfect fit.
Really nice. Yeah, I like that a lot when we talk about the personal stories I see that Bitcoiners are going through. So I immediately, I think we met in El Salvador at the Unconference, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
and I immediately clicked with you. Like you're like a really positive guy, and I like your energy, and so I really wanted to get that into the podcast. And
I'm happy.
next to that energy, we got to learn a lot about Nostra today, a lot about how the future will be in that. I think you're honestly one of the top guys that can explain it in simple terms. Like
I'm
I've not heard.
sorry if I've been too technical, because I will look back at this interview and probably I will say, oh, okay, I was too technical here.
Oh no, you did an amazing job. Like at least for me, like I always try to keep in mind my audience and see like where can I ask better questions and go deeper. But I think I really I got a way clearer picture now of what Nostra is and what it tries to accomplish and what
I'm
it
happy.
could be.
Yeah.
Really cool. Thank you so much. I have one question that I always ask every guest of mine. What can we learn from you besides Bitcoin? And I will add for you besides Nostra.
Okay, so there is something that, of course, my main focus since I was a kid is money, right? So uh, I'm I'm always surprised by money. What is money? So I'm deeply interested into money. And when I say money, I'm not saying about how many zeros do you have in your bank account, right? About what is money, like from the ancient Egypts and the Romans and the Greeks and all this story. But all this converges to Bitcoin. So I'm not gonna tell that because you don't want me to tell Bitcoin. So there is another thing that I like a lot, which is artistic gymnastics. So this is something, just a personal thing of mine. I practice every day, and this keeps me sane in this world of randomness and sometimes decadence. So sports, in my case, artistic gymnastics, love so much. And I post everything I can on my Instagram, but it's just an Instagram about artistic gymnastics.
I laughed a lot. Really cool. Thank you so much, Jordi, for sharing that with us. Before I let you go, we have the end routine. Before I almost forgot that, where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest actually is. And your question from the previous guest is about Bitcoin mining.
Okay.
Do you know what the BitX is and what it does?
I know. And in our Barcelona Bitcoin only meetup, we have invited the Nerdax builder, and we are selling them. So what is it? It's like a small device like this size, like this size, little bit. Oh, and of course you can see my phone has a QR code to the Barcelona Bitcoin only community. So a Nerdax, it's like or a BitX is like a small device, like double the size of a phone maybe, that you can plug in in your home to play what is called lottery mining, because it's such a small device. It's mining, it's guessing all these numbers to mine the next block, but because it's very little in comparison to these big miners, we call it lottery because you have a little chance of winning. But still, they call it lottery mining, but it still has more chances than regular lottery to win, to be one of the winners.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's great to get into mining and then maybe connect with like an ocean pool or something like that. It's a great way. Perfect. Thank you so much. Before I forget, where can people find you, ask you questions, reach out to you?
Right. So follow me on Twitter, Jordi_Young. It's a difficult name. I know it's my Catalan surname. It is Jordi. Maybe I can share it with you then to be written on
I will put it as always in the description so people can just click the link. If they are watching on a podcast platform like Spotify, Apple Music, or anything, like it's in the description. If they're watching on YouTube, it's in the description. If they watch on Twitter, I know there are like 10 people that actually watch the episode on Twitter also. You can just directly click on the link above, because on Twitter I directly tag your profile, so you have the most direct way there. So yeah, we'll do that.
Twitter is easy because people will follow you. I also suggest you to follow Satlantis if you want. Like, and we're in Twitter as well, in Instagram and in YouTube at Join Satlantis. But of course, what was the topic of today's conference? Nostra.
Yeah, Nostra. Yeah.
I want you guys to follow me on Nostra as well. On Nostra, I'm Curious Wizard, and of course, we have also Satlantis account. So,
do you know your NPub by heart?
N1P. No, I don't know. The NPub. How many characters is that? It's like 15, 20?
It's too much. It's too much to know by heart. That's for sure.
No. Just follow me. You search for Curious Wizard, and you'll find me.
Really cool. Perfect. And yeah, thank you so much, Jordi, for being on. Thank you so much for everyone that is watching and listening, for joining us today. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Robin. Bye-bye.